Welcome to the Feathered Report, where the guys from Upduck discuss the latest news from the worlds of upland and waterfowl. All right, welcome into the first ever edition of the Feathered Report, where we're going to bring you stories from the world of waterfowl and upland. Some of them might be entertainment stories. Some of them might be newsworthy stories, stories on laws and bills that are being proposed, things that can affect us as upland hunters and as waterfowl hunters. So with that, let's dive into the first story, which is in the state of New York. There was a bill introduced that would ban pheasant stocking. So New York doesn't have a strong population of wild birds. So what the Department of Natural Resources does there, much like they do in Wisconsin, where I reside, is they raise birds. They're pen-raised birds. They release those birds on public lands so that folks can go out and pheasant hunt. They can do upland hunting, right? It supports getting hunters out into the woods or out into the upland field in this case. Supports dogs and dog training, getting more dogs, raising more hunting dogs and more competent hunting dogs. So the supporters of this bill, right, they're arguing this. It's cruel, it's unnatural, it's unnecessary. Pheasants are non-native. They struggle to survive in the wild, so on and so forth, right? So as a hunter, right, this is something that would eliminate hunting opportunities for a whole bunch of folks. It would reduce license sales. It would reduce the amount of revenue that the New York Department of Natural Resources has to continue to manage the land out there. It would actually cut conservation funding, right? Less hunting opportunities means less money spent on shells, firearms, etc. All stuff that goes into fund the Pitt and Robertson Act. So, right, there's the synopsis, background on it, right? It's been in place. This program has been in place. The pheasant stocking program in New York has been in place since 1909, and they release about 30,000 pheasants a year. So I'm paying real close attention to that because I live in a state, like I mentioned before, that releases pen-raised birds on public land. And if there's one state that happens to be a leader and makes changes, right, that can have a trickle-down effect. I don't think it would in Wisconsin. I would hope not, but watching that one closely as that develops over the course of time here throughout 2025. Now, second story is about dogs, right, and about the avian influenza, the bird flu. So there was a study published in the Emerging Infectious Diseases. I'm not sure what publication that actually is, but they found that in the state of Washington that 2% of tested hunting dogs had antibodies for the bird flu, which is fascinating and interesting, right? So obviously, like these dogs had been exposed, likely from retrieving waterfowl, right? They're probably waterfowl that were ducks or geese that were carrying the bird flu. That hunters had shot. Dogs went and picked it up. They were exposed to it, and they picked it up. The interesting thing is that none of the dogs showed signs of illness. So, right, that's a great thing. 2%, it was like 2 out of 194 dogs. It was a really, really small number. When you see the headline on this, at least when I saw it, it was right, hey, the bird flu, they found bird flu antibodies in hunting dogs. It's like, oh, wow, do I need to be concerned? Still seems pretty rare. 2 out of 194 is a really low number. 2% of hunting dogs they tested positive for it. So again, another story to keep our eye on here, but nothing that is too noteworthy, at least nothing that I feel really concerned about there. Now, last story, or sort of story. This one is less newsworthy, but it'll be somewhat more along the lines of entertainment here. So the last story for the first episode here is two make sure that you are washing yourself properly after cleaning wild game. So there was a hunter who had been having heel pain for 4 or 5 months, right? So went in and goes in to see a physical therapist, right? This hunter is like, yeah, I've been having this pain for a while. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure what's going on. If I'm, what I'm doing, if it's the shoes I'm wearing, this and that. PT says to the hunter, hey, why don't you take your socks off? Let's take a look at it. Looks at it. She says, Mr. Hunter, have you taken a look? It looks like you have something, you have a foreign body in your heel, and it's there's a nice raised up patch there that's a little bit puffy. Looks like it's it's hardened, but also there's a little bit of fluid in there. Sure enough, there was. So the PT ended up extracting that foreign body, and she said, this looks like a quill, right? As in as in a duck feather. So that's really kind of scary, right? Walking around for 4 or 5 months with a duck feather stuck in your heel. What's scarier is if that hunter is you, because that hunter was actually me, and that happened this past week. So yeah, I am guessing that I will no longer be cleaning birds, especially ducks where feathers get everywhere, in Crocs. And I'm guessing that probably happened at the beginning of September, the beginning of teal season, when I cleaned ducks in Crocs. Somehow I stepped on a little feather and lodged it into my heel, and it's been there. I've been carrying it around for quite a while. Took it all the way down to Oklahoma and back to Wisconsin. So moral of the story here, make sure you are cleaning yourself thoroughly. Make sure you do not clean birds in Crocs, and just watch out for all those duck feathers. So that wraps up the first episode here, the Feather Report. Tune in next time for more stories from the world of waterfowl and upland.